welcome to the Tolleson-Mack podcast. I'm Brandon Shelton, Brandon Brown, Cesar, Cruz, and our special guest today, Tanner Bryson.
Yep.
The man from up north. He made the trek down to come down and see us, sit down on the podcast. So, Tanner, what you been up to, man? How's it going up north?
It's going good. I just been in the dude business, taking out trail rides, and still in the horse business quite a bit. Selling a few horses, a little harder than it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's a trainer or a...
Man, I see that. There's a lot of trainers on Facebook.
This internet, I tell you what, you know, everybody wants a video. Hey, what kind of horse you got? Oh, I got this kind of horse. Send me a video.
Yeah.
And so I don't really play the video game too much, but guys get kind of annoyed and they don't want to come look at horses. But I say, hey, come ride them.
Yeah.
You know, throw a leg over them.
Video, that's someone else riding too. You know, you need to be on yourself to get a really good perspective of what you're getting on, you know?
Absolutely. And then, you know, the other thing is guy can edit videos all day and get 3 really hot videos and send them out.
Yeah.
Then they get up there and they can't even ride the horse.
Yeah.
Know, so.
Yeah, we've talked about that a little before. We had Larry the guy on here, and her and Cesar were talking about that. Like sometimes, I think Cesar said like a 60-year-old lady shows up on a 5-year-old that she's going to have the rest of her life so she can help train it.
Yeah.
And,
They can learn together.
I'll have it the rest of my life. Well, you might not have it the rest of your life.
Or your life's going to be a lot shorter than what you think. So you see that a lot, huh? A lot of guys just, hey, send me a video on this or that. But a lot of probably tire kickers, right? Like, you know?
Yeah, I got a little disenchanted because, you know, that's been my main deal is horse business my whole life. And back in the day before we had video and we had internet and it was kind of word of mouth. And so if you called a guy and said, hey, I got a really good horse, generally they would show up. But nowadays these guys, send me a video. And then they pick the horse apart. I'm not good at editing videos. That's one of my biggest problems. But
no, I don't think that's a problem. I think that that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell Chris, hey, video this horse, and I'll rope on him. I might miss, I might rope a leg or whatever, and I still send the video. And they're like, oh, the horse, you know, oh, he switched his tail or he did this, and I'm like, whatever. But you know, you still get the guys that'll you know trust you and come up and try the horse, and that's the way I want to do it. I like hands on. I don't really do the whole internet thing. I don't really do a lot of advertising either.
Do you sell more rope horses or trail horses or dude horses or how's that work?
Well, I love selling rope horses, good ones, you know, and that's kind of what I've always dealt in. We had I used to brand all the good horses, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we go through some horses that aren't that good, but I always put my iron on the good ones, and so that was kind of my business card. But oddly enough, the horse industry has changed quite a bit, and we sell a lot of trail horses now. We sell trail horses for as much as we used to sell rope horses for. So it's kind of transformed in that manner.
Yeah.
But if you think about that, I mean, the casual person that takes out the trail horse, I mean, you know, this could be a lawyer making $500,000 a year, and he wants to get on his trail horse and know he's just as safe as, you know, maybe a rodeo cowboy going down the road. So, I mean, I guess you could kind of see how that market could get bumped up a little bit.
And we talk about a lot about the horse, how it's kind of a therapy, you know, for some people. So a guy that is a doctor or a lawyer that making $250,000, if they spend $12,000 to $15,000 on a horse that they know they're safe on, I mean, it's your therapy all in one right there. You know, we talk a lot about how the horses have saved a lot of people's lives. So you don't want to be on a horse that's, you know, you're out there trail riding and, you know, break into. So I get it.
Right.
So I know my lawyer for our business, his name's Phil, and he's a real good guy. He rides, he's got some halter horses. You know, they do halter horses and like some hunter jumper horses and stuff. So, you know, he's always wanting to talk horse with me and stuff. And so a while back, he says, hey, you know anybody that sells hay? I said, yeah, I got him hooked up with a guy that sells hay. This is a couple years ago. And he says, well, I'm going to be out of town. Is there any way you could stop by? Well, I mean, this guy's got me out of more jams than I could tell. So, of course, I run over to his house. And I get over there in the backyard, and, like, he's a really nice house in the front. And then we get in the back, and it's beautiful. And there's, like, a little one-stall horse barn. But the horse ain't there. And so I call him. I said, hey, my guy got the hay delivered and everything, you know. And he says, okay. And I said, but your horse ain't there. Like, did your horse get out or something? He says, no. He says, my HOA, I can't have my horses at my house. He said, so what I do, he said, when I've had a hard day, I'll call the barn in Scottsdale, have my horse brought over. I sit out there. My horse's name's Bentley. His horse is named Bentley. He sits out there, he puts it in the stall, and that is the exact replica of the barn and stall that horse lives in Scottsdale.
Wow.
Nice.
Horse
Nice,
people.
yeah.
Those are the kind of people I think that you're dealing with on the trail horse side, you know. And after I thought, you know, at first you think, man, that's a lot of money to waste. But to that guy,
Yeah.
imagine what it would cost for him to sit on somebody's couch and tell him the problems.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a lot
absolutely.
cheaper to talk to Bentley, probably.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And do it at your house like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he goes out there, has him a drink or something, whatever. So, for the listeners listening, why don't you kind of explain? You know, you said you run some dude strings or whatever, and I think earlier you were telling me they're up around like Sedona, Grand Canyon, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got a couple locations, and we started out. I actually started out just using my rope horses for trail rides. We tried to do it about probably 25 years ago, and we
In the same area?
yeah, it's up near Sedona. Our ranch was about 10 miles out of town, so we didn't really get a lot of traffic at that time. But then about 10 years ago, with the growth of the tourism up there, we started doing it again. I had about 10 rope horses, and so I started advertising in Sedona, and guests would come out, and I'd take them out on my rope horses, and it just kind of grew from there.
That's pretty cool,
Yeah.
man. Because when they get there, I mean, that's legit a real ranch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a real ranch. I mean, we used to run cattle and stuff, and we don't anymore. We just do trail rides. But at the time, I didn't know how good the business could be, but there's a lot of people that don't get to ride a horse. They don't even know what a horse feels like, and so they'll show up, and we've got to have horses that are so gentle that anybody can ride them,
Yeah.
and they're kind of hard to find. We got to get those old horses that don't really have a future other than that.
Mhm.
And so we get those horses up there. I have a lot of old retired rope horses, and we'll put guests on them, take them out for a little tour, and it's a good deal.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
cool.
they're fun.
Do they really seem to kind of bond with the horse, or are they kind of? I mean, it's a funny question, but are they bonding with you, or are they kind of really like you can see it where they bond with the horse? Because, like Brandon had mentioned before, we talk about that a lot, and we think that the horse has helped a lot of people. Cesar will tell you beyond that it's helped a lot of people.
No, absolutely. I get guests that show up, and you're just kind of doing a trail ride, and you're going through the motions, and they get done, and it's like a life-changing experience. I know that sounds dramatic, but
No, I don't think it is.
no, we get emails, and people they're like, "Oh my God, it was the most amazing experience." We've actually sold horses the day they take the trail ride. They get off, they say, "I want to buy the horse."
Yeah.
And you're
That's
like,
pretty
you live in New Jersey.
They don't
Like,
care.
well, we don't care. We like
Yeah.
the horse, So we figure out how to ship in New
Yeah.
Jersey or something. So we get that more than you would think.
That's cool. We talk about rope horse fraternity and team rope and all the different things, and I kind of didn't think about too much of your world of doing trail rides and stuff. That's a whole other aspect of the horse industry. It's a whole different market, and it's pretty cool.
The only major mistake I've made is I should have married a farmer
Yeah.
that had a farm that raised hay, because now I'm buying hay and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
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 We're feeding 150 horses, and
Well, somebody's got to pay for the podcast. Right?
true story.
Yeah.
Your story, yeah. So this is kind of a crazy question, but like in the state of Arizona, how many trail horses or like dude string horses do you think there is versus like performance horses? I mean, performance horses, obviously, there's such a wide variety of events they can be in, but what are you thinking? There's 10,000, or 20,000, 5,000?
It's hard to say. I know I did business with a guy in Wyoming, and he owns 2,500 trail horses himself.
Wow.
And
Now that's a hay bill.
Yeah. When you talk to
Yeah.
him.
he's got all the concessions in Yellowstone Park, so he does pretty good.
Not bad.
But what's funny is we would lease, 100 horses from him every season. We'd go up, we'd take our trailers up, we'd pick them up, and he knows every horse by name.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
Wow.
I mean, there's old Ginger. Oh, there's Frosty.
Chelsea would have a field day with that.
Oh, yeah.
Chelsea would love that.
Chelsea would be starting a spreadsheet and have them all.
Chelsea
on.
Schaefer from the Team Roping Journal. She knows every horse that everybody's
She
riding
knew your
right
horse.
now. She knew my horse out there. She's
Nice.
the real deal when it comes to horses. Cesar knows a lot of the
Yeah.
horses too.
She's doing something pretty cool. Like, and Cesar's gonna be able to speak on this more than I am, but aren't they like starting to track the winnings of rope horses
Yeah.
in the
They're
pro
up
rodeo? Right?
jackpots, rodeos, all that stuff now. So like a horse that people are breeding rope horses now. They're wanting to breed a stud that's proven, that's had proven colts in the rope horse industry, and then finding a mare that's been proven and so they're breeding them together to build a world-class rope horse nowadays. And the Royal Crowns and all this stuff that they're kind of proving that. But like in your deal, Tanner, like do you notice there's bloodlines that work for that, or is it just kind of like you find just the ex-rodeo horses that help out for?
Well, there's, I'll tell you what makes a really good trail horse a lot of times is they're half drafts. They're quarter drafts, I call them. And so they breed that draft horse in them, and they seem to be gentle and pretty docile, and they're also.
So are you in a string line, or everybody's have their own reins, or how does that work?
No, everybody. That's one of the things we do is we give them a little tutorial on how to ride the horse, and we adjust their stirrups, and we tell them keep your saddle centered, and but we don't. Our horses are safe, and that's our safety measure, right? Because I've had a guy fall off, his foot was in the stirrup, and the horse just stood there and like waited for him to get his foot out, stuff like that. But really, truly, the safety factor we have is having gentle horses.
Yeah.
Because people, you don't realize growing up on horses and riding, you think, well, it's no big deal, right? But you got these people that they have no clue.
Yeah.
But we give them a little safety tutorial, and we send them out with guides, and the guide's supposed to, watch and make sure everything's good.
Is that your insurance policy? Is that what your biggest expenses would be? But that's
well, insurance.
Interesting.
Insurance is not as much as you would think.
Oh,
I mean, hay.
Yeah.
I think my hay bill last year was $120,000, and so
And how many horses you running?
right now we cut our herd back to about 50, but at one time we had probably 160 head. It was pre-pandemic. During the pandemic, we were open for business, but nobody was traveling. Nobody was doing. Sedona was shut down, and so we had all these horses. So I ended up selling a bunch of my horses. Just we stayed in business. I kept my employees, but it was a tough time. But yeah, probably my best and biggest investment would be my horse herd. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, every dollar I've ever made in my life had to do with a horse, from rope horses to trail horses and onward.
So did you used to go rodeo quite a bit back in the day, or?
Yeah, I did. I rodeoed pretty hard for about 10 years.
Really?
And one of my first partners was Bryce.
Yeah. Shout out, Bry.
Shout out,
1994 Rookie of the Year. Shout out.
1994 Rookie of the Year,
Yes,
Bryce Sayer.
Yeah. So I started out about 94. So I got my pro card and went rodeoed and had a great time. But probably the most success I had rodeoing had to do with my horses more than my winning. I had a couple horses of the year.
Really?
And
That's cool.
I actually had
That is cool.
a couple Canadian horses of the year. And
Wow.
so
That's
I
awesome.
had some good horses back in the day. Yeah.
You trained them and everything like that?
Yeah, our business was B-Cross rope horses, and we went out and tried to find the best horses, and then we would train them. And probably the most successful part of that was the ability to take a horse and then figure out where that horse needed to go. Like, does he need to go to a pro guy? Is he good enough? Or is it just the middle of the road guy?
Yeah.
So, we placed some horses with some guys that had great success, world championships and stuff, NFR. But my key was I always branded them with my brand.
Yeah.
So people would see that horse at a rodeo. They say, oh,
Yeah. That's good marketing. I like it.
I like that.
Mhm.
So when you were saying 10 years ago, when you were placing these horses with these amateur guys, it was kind of a different caliber of amateur guys than it is now. Like we've done some interviews, and we help little Michael Camelot get down the road. I mean, he's
absolutely.
14-year-old
That kid's a
whooping
stud.
on him.
He's a
Yeah.
stud.
So was it 10 years ago? I mean, was that the caliber, or hey, you just really seen team roping take off?
Well, I think the biggest jump in team roping has to do with, I kind of criticize the whole video thing, but
Thank you.
these kids nowadays, they're watching videos, they're getting instruction from guys like Cesar. They're getting started at a young age, and I'm sure he's probably helped little Michael out.
Oh yeah.
And so these kids they have a real advantage. Back in the day, I went to a couple of Clay O'Brien clinics and stuff, and Clay's one of my heroes. But nowadays these kids can study these videos, and they can watch them, and they can perfect the team roping. And there's some amazing. I mean, you go down to Texas, and there's kids you've never seen,
Yeah.
don't know them, never heard their name, and they're wheeling in there,
Yeah.
roping them first hop. And,
Cesar talks about it all the time. You know, they have such an advantage to be a student of the game more than, you know, the literature, the language, everything's at the fingertips. And before, you know, you have to read the article in the super looper, like you'd say, and stuff like that. You have to wait for it to come out. Now, if you want to tip on healing or on Dalian, you could type in tip on Dalian, and boom, there'll be 30 different, you know, deals about it. So that didn't exist back when you guys were doing it. You know?
No, I mean there's been stages in the sport of team roping where you take Speedy Williams, for instance. In my opinion, he was doing stuff that nobody understood at the time. He's the first guy swinging in the box. He grew up roping on basketball court size arenas.
Yeah.
They moved rodeo, the national finals, to the Tolleson-Mack, and Speedy just dominated for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, all these kids that watch Speedy Williams videos, 10 years later, they're all swinging in the box, and they're turning to be three also.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's been a big jump for the sport,
sure.
in my opinion.
No,
Yeah. I just watched him and his son rope together.
Mhm.
Man, that kid can rope.
Yeah.
And how about having speed for your dad?
Yeah.
Have him turning steers for you all day long?
And don't forget about his daughter, number 1 in the world at breakaway right now.
Numero uno,
Wow,
my friend.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's not by accident.
No, that's a lot of hard work, you know, and for sure you don't be number 1 in the world just by accident.
Yeah, her shirts say number 1 by design.
Yeah. That's what I'm built on.
Right. I feel like we skipped over those stories with the 94 Rookie of the Year too quick.
Yeah.
Like, we'll better come back to that because we will take a break and we'll come back to that. So I don't want anybody to think that we forgot about those.
Do you remember that 94 year? I mean, I'm sure you and Bri were, you know,
I
going
went
down the
places
road.
with Bri. I don't
You-
remember
you said
the whole year. It had to be
So give us one story about Bri, Sarah, when you guys were going down the road, that 94, 95 season.
I'm not sure I can tell them.
parental
We're trying to get a viral moment.
parental advisory.
Caesar, do you have any Bryce Sayre stories?
Yeah,
Anything
let's
that,
hear some Bryce Sayre stories.
Man, when I was a little kid and the two-back roping back in the day, I don't know if y'all remember that stuff, but man, Brian and Kyle were pretty cool cats back in the day, and I was always looking at them. They had some badass horses.
yeah.
Dude, badass rigs.
Kyle
all
had the
blue and white.
gray, really cool gray. You know what I mean?
Pistol, shout out
And so-
Pistol, huh?
And so those guys were like rock stars back
Yeah.
in the day. You know what I mean? I showed up over at the rope and I was bringing up steers. And I look at them guys. You know, Steve Northcott and Sayre boys are here. You know,
Oh,
like, oh
shit.
man, look at these guys. These guys are all badass. You know, so
Yeah.
it was those stories were pretty cool because back then it was in two back. These steers were like miniature bucking bulls. These things were huge, man. This arena was big and these guys were going fast. Like it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool time.
When I first got introduced to Brian, Kyan, and his dad, I was just a kid at Mormon Lake. And Mormon Lake back in the day, that was a big roping, right? And so their dad invited me. I was probably, 13, 14 years old. He said, come down and hang out. So, and those guys, they had nice rigs, nice horses. And so I'd go down and stay with them. And they had 100 head of cattle,
Mm-hmm.
100 head of the best roping steers. And they would have 10 head horses and 10 hills just tied up, arena lights.
Yeah.
And we would rope all night. I'd just ride horses, and
Yeah.
I mean, it was just amazing. And then their dad would send us, like, I remember one time we went to Vegas, and their dad sent us with 10,000 cash. I was the driver. I was 16,
There you go.
and I think Bri was probably what were you, about 12, and
Old enough.
yeah. So we're up there. I got Bryce Sayre, Kyan, Brian Adams was with us.
Oh no, BA.
Yeah, so we're up there. We go to the Bill Withers roping, right? And we're high rolling. We got cash. We got a rig, and,
I bet.
and then we won a little bit. So we're all, excited, and we're like, let's go to the whorehouse. Right? So we take off to Pahrump. We go up there to the whorehouse. We get up there, and none of us are of age to do anything, right? Pahrump. It's like 2 a.m. We knock on the door, and the lady's like, are your parents with you?
Oh, no.
We didn't get in, but
That was a long drive.
yeah, it was all right though.
The talk about getting in though, you guys have probably had a pretty good conversation on the way over there. Like you guys are gonna do this, we're gonna party, we're gonna have a great time.
How were we gonna sneak Brian through the back?
Brian, don't make eye contact with the security guard. You got it all planned out, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Brian was gonna talk to the security guard into it. I guarantee it.
I think Brian Adams was 12. So, it was like, I was a real good leader at that time, 15. But,
Yeah, we had
Let's not
junior.
go to McDonald's. Let's not.
Ain't no Happy Meals here. We had Junior Zambrano on. He was a 2022 Rookie of the Year. So I was telling Brian, like, he's like, I was Rookie of the Year, and I was like, what? I had no idea. And then he sent me a picture of his buckle. So that's pretty cool, man. He sat at the table with Cody O that year. I guess Cody won it too. He was telling me, and those memories last a lifetime. Like that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I remember when I was a kid. I was just a farmer's kid in Levine, and I was way younger than them guys. And man, they had like blue and white trucks.
Mhm.
I think everything was blue and white for Cecil, and then Cecil's partner was a guy named Daryl, and we lived right next door to Daryl Howard, and everything he had was red and white. And man, you'd go back and forth between them two houses, and to me that was like, that was like going to the NFR, man. Because like you said, they have 100 head of steers, and they had guys bringing horses, and it was just the coolest thing ever,
I met them like when I was probably, I don't know, 14, 15 years old. It was the first time I met them, and Jason Williams told me so many stories about them, and shoot, if half of them are true, that's some funny shit. I mean,
Yeah.
I could imagine.
we had good times.
Yeah, especially in Levine. I mean, Levine's Levine, you know what I mean? So you survived Levine, he made it out. So.
Yeah, they lived on the backside of the hill over there. That was
Carver.
The backside where Jason lived a couple blocks away. They had the big house.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes when I was a kid, we were getting into the Coors Light drinking back then a little bit, and that little bridge they had in the front of their house sometimes was hard to navigate. I went to school with their sister Laura. Yeah, and I remember, man, going over there and hanging out with those guys.
Clay O'Brien was over there.
Oh, everybody.
Everybody was over there hanging out and roping. I mean, that's awesome.
It was just cool to see those guys. And I mean, it was the same thing that like we run into now. Like last week, you have Eric Rogers on the podcast, and he's telling us, last week when I was driving a tow truck, we're like, you're doing a what? He's like, I was
And listen to your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell?
He's like, I was,
Yeah.
he's like, I was listening to Dennis Gates on your podcast, driving the tow truck. Picked up these people, and they're like, "Aren't you Eric Rogers?" He's like, "Nope."
No, I'm not.
You have any stories about Elmer's?
Elmer's Arena, absolutely, yeah. We do that. We'd go rope and rope and rope, and then Elmer would have his Friday night ropings. I think I'm not sure. I can't remember, but yeah, we'd go down to Elmer's, and the steers were bigger than the horses, right?
Yeah.
And he had worked his arena so much that the boxes actually ran it. You'd run off the hill.
Yeah.
But no, I grew up down there, and I spent a lot of time in Levine as a kid, and we just all we did is rope.
Yeah.
That's all we did. We roped, and
There's so many. You can ask about that Elmer's to anybody, and I mean, it sounds like everybody. I mean, I never was there. I mean, it's before my time, but Elmer's is iconic. I mean, that's like the Dynamite before Dynamite. It was the real.
What I
deal.
always say about that place is you either learned how to rope or fist fight.
Yeah,
Those are
that's
the two
true.
things you learned how to
drink
do.
beer.
Yeah, there was always one of those things going on. Definitely the beer drinking. That was an unforeseen rule.
I think it's apartment complexes now.
QT.
QT. Well, yeah, there's been so many ropers going back decades that everybody roped at Elmer's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad places like that gotta go. But I mean, you can
See
same
why.
thing Brandon talks about with his farm ground, right? You can see why. I mean, when these guys are coming in buying this shit by the square foot, you can't help but sell it. But
Yeah.
it was pretty cool, and hopefully there'll be another one somewhere. Who knows where it'll be, but it'll be pretty cool. We got a pretty cool arena in the back if you want to stop.
Tolleson-Mack.
I saw that.
Yeah,
That's a nice arena.
Tolleson-Mack.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people haven't roped at the Thomas-Mack, but you can rope at the Tolleson-Mack all you want.
By invite,
Yeah.
By invite, you're invited. If you're
I told you, I own the arena record here. We don't know the arena until the time, but we own it though.
Welcome back to the Tolleson-Mack podcast. We're still here with Tanner Bryson. The second half of this podcast is brought to you by V5 Farms out there in Buckeye. They raise some real nice beef. Cattleman's processes them for them. If you need any beef, give old Lacey Viss a call. Lacey does a real good job.
She sure does. They have a hell of a nice facility over there, real clean. I mean, you take some animals over there, they're gonna take real good care of it.
Yeah, they do custom
runs
feeding, I think.
Yeah, she runs that place really, really good. I mean, that place is spotless. That's the way you want your cattle to be.
What's her foreman's name? Slade?
Slade Viss is her
Slade,
foreman,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Lacey, she's the boss over there for sure.
She's the heifer. I
For
like
sure.
it. The big boss.
Shout out Lacey.
All right, Tanner, back to the story. Cesar, in the break, you guys were telling one. I kept trying to get Craig to turn on the cameras, but we couldn't get them on fast enough. So what were you guys talking about, Cesar?
Man, I tell you what, I made a big decision right there at Tanner's house back in the day when I was about 18 years old. I worked for my stepdad. I was a runner, and Christmas, they have runners a lot of the times. And man, I worked for him for a month straight. I worked hard for my stepdad, man. I remember getting my check in for the month's work, and man, the government took about half of my check, and I was like,
That's all.
I talked about that. And he said, "It's just part of it, son. You know, that's we give the government back. You know." And I'm like, "Man, I don't want to work for the government." and it was funny because after work, you know, it was the next day. I drove up there. I went and picked up a good buddy, Dan Whitworth, and I had a little beater up truck, and I just barely made it up the hill. And Tanner's place is beautiful, man. You get to his place, you get down to it. It overlooks the arena. It had a really nice house. Had a creek running right through the place, and then down below it had opened up into like a little pond back there. It was a beautiful place.
You never wanted to go back to Tucson.
We get there, man. The roping starts, and man, I see Charlie Crawford, Bucky Campbell. There's some good ropers up and up there, kind of hanging out. And sure enough, dude, I drew Charlie in the open roping. And we ended up placing. It was a cool experience. And
That is cool.
Pete Woolsey, one of these old guys, old timers, legends up here. You know, he's dad's to Rube Woolsey. Anyways, he wanted to rope. I said, "Sure, Mr. Pete, I want to rope with you." And this guy had a badass head horse, and man, he spun me some good steers. I ended up winning, and then so I won about $5,000 over there at the Steers and Beers rope.
You ain't never won that
It was
before.
famous, man. Everybody went to these Steers and Beers rope and
Steers and
go over
Beers.
there and hang out over there at his place. It was just an awesome facility.
When you looked at that check, did anything come out from the government?
No, man, that was a beautiful thing. I mean, they take their taxes out.
Right.
You know, you got to pay your taxes, of course. I kind of found out that's
Part of the deal.
They get it a little bit later, but I mean, the work I had to do for that pay stub for UPS, and then to realize I can make a living with my rope. Man,
That's when it hit you.
I was right there in your parking lot over there hanging out with
Epiphany.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure like, they were just hanging out.
Tanner was probably looking at you going, "Why is that kid sitting in his truck just staring at that check? Like, he should go put it in the bank."
I'm pretty sure we were sitting around the bonfire. Everybody's kind of having beers. That's the thing over there at the ropings. There was a good time. Everybody enjoyed it. Even the guys that didn't do good were up there having a good time, man. I'm looking around the atmosphere like this is where it's at, man. I'm gonna make a living roping. This working for UPS is not what I'm gonna do for a living. I promise.
No brown shorts.
No brown shorts, man.
So Tanner, with that kind of said, and rolling into that, I mean, do you see a lot of guys nowadays, and I guess, I mean, kind of make you proud that you kind of help some of them guys along the way, you know, like Cesar tell you right there, in your parking lot, your yard or your house is where I decided I'm going to go make the NFR 9 times in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I got so many friends through the years and guys that majorly successful in rodeo, you know, and they'd come hang out. And there were several years there when I was rodeoing and stuff. These guys would come hang out and they'd prep for the NFR, you know. So we had cattle and so I had a great group of guys hanging out. Bucky Campbell, BJ Campbell, Charlie Crawford. I just go down the list. Richard Agurin. These guys were really successful and. They'd show up and we'd have fun. They lived on. We had a ranch. They'd live in the bunkhouse and a lot of good times, wild times.
Any
And
bunkhouse
Great
stories?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, there was a gal.
Oh,
Little bunkhouse.
here
And
we go.
She was.
Where's this ranch at?
Well, it's in Page Springs. That's where I still have my trail rides.
Oh,
So now we're just
okay.
trail riding. We've mellowed out a bit.
All right.
So we had the old bunkhouse there, you know, and there was a gal there, and she was a rodeo fan. I used to laugh because I'd say,
A rodeo fan.
yeah, when the rigs would roll through town, she'd be there, you know. And I'm like, how did she know? I don't know. She watched the road or something, but she was I'm not going to mention her name, but she was.
Well,
she
let's
was,
not mention your name.
She was a larger gal, and so the big
She's the
joke.
one riding the horse on the 300-pound fight.
She was. There was kind of a little legend going that if you had relations with her, you were going to win good at the NFR. So it was kind of one of those deals, you know.
Cowboys are
Well,
superstitious.
So
I heard there was one of those at CAC too, but we'll let
She was
you
kind of a
finish.
support group for my rodeo crowd, you know. But she did, you know, it was
friendly gal, I guess.
good times. Yeah, absolutely,
gal.
absolutely.
some,
I got a lot of stories, but I probably shouldn't tell them all.
somebody's lucky charm, huh?
Pretty much,
Mhm.
yeah. Like if you went there, you were gonna do good at the finals. So
Wow.
there's
Did it hold pretty true?
I mean,
yeah, kind of, yeah.
there's some guys with some gold buckles at you.
Well, there's some guys with some gold buckles right now watching this one.
I know. We can go down.
No. No,
Yeah.
they're over there texting Brandon right now. We'll come on your podcast.
Yeah.
Shut his microphone off. We'll come whatever you need.
Yeah, I won't disclose everything, but we had a lot of fun over there at the old ranch house.
That's
It was
cool.
good times. A lot of good ropers though. A lot
Yeah.
of great ropers are good. I mean,
Yeah,
guys that have moved the sport forward.
for sure.
It was a great atmosphere over there. Every time, like I said, it was you wanted to get better, and like the competition was good. But then at the same time, it was like it's kind of a happy kind of an atmosphere. Like,
Yeah.
come on, you
Well,
can
it
do
sounds like it was pretty
we're,
cool.
we're gonna blast this one, and if you can do it, let's see it. Come on,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it was good. So like everybody that went there always kind of progressed and got better. It's just pretty neat.
The knife fight.
Knife fights, man.
Heck yeah.
That's
And then
cool.
afterwards, kind of like a Mormon Lake type of field,
Yeah.
bonfire, drunk
Bonfire,
deal.
around,
That's,
hang
that's
out,
cool.
yeah.
Well, that's always a great time.
Yeah, we always our place there. We just welcome everybody that There was a lot of great ropers that hung out there, but good times.
Yeah.
So where you were saying earlier, you hold the arena or you held the arena record at Pendleton?
Yeah,
Who do we know the guy that broke it?
yeah, Cesar de la Cruz right here. I mean, that's one of my little claims to fame is I had the record at Pendleton for 10 years, and
That's
him
awesome.
and him-
Shout out to Tanner's daughters that Cesar de la Cruz broke your dad's record.
Yeah.
they
What's the
actually
deal with that?
trampled on it.
Trampled.
We're 4'8", and what were you guys?
We were 5 flat.
Yeah. And
Wow.
Doyle and I.
Coulter Todd did some
Oh, yeah.
sticking, man.
So
And then they changed a lot of it because I got a picture of the run, and nowadays there's a stadium surrounding the whole backside of the where the rope inside is, and I think they shortened it up just a little bit. But we have another guy in the podcast, Eric Rogers, Peyton Bray. They blasted that record. I think it's 4-3 now is the arena record over there, but.
I feel like we should take this show to Pendleton. Everybody
Yeah.
that's here had a record.
If
Yeah.
you really want to have a good time in Tanner will agree,
Yep.
that is probably the funnest rodeo there is going, and the most dangerous as well. So you're gonna, if you video it,
That's
you're
the
gonna,
one on grass.
somebody's gonna go
Yeah.
down. Some team roper is gonna go down. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean. You're gonna see something, steer tripping, calf roping, the horse is gonna go down. You know what I mean.
Well, what'd you
It's
say
wild.
Eric's record is now?
It's 4-3, I believe, over there.
Yeah, 4-3.
And that's so hard to do because it's, I mean, it's a
On
steer.
grass.
Well, there's no chute, so the steers, the guys
Oh
push
yeah,
it
explain
down.
that to the listeners. How's that whole
It's,
deal
it's
work?
really neat how they bring them up. They bring them from behind the buck and shoots, and you're sitting in the box. You call for your steer, and they'll be like, "Okay, he's halfway." And when they say he's here, he is at a full low run trot, like he is moving
Rolling.
through. And so, like if he is running for the healer, you want to sneak down the lane just a little bit to haze him because over on the right side of the arena, the football field is very, very lush. They don't go over there, and it's very dangerous over there, very slippery over there. So you kind of want to ease him over there to where the grass has been trampled on just a little bit. And so it's how long of the lane you would say it's
I think the barrier is 60 feet
Wow.
in front of where you set your horse when
Yeah.
you're getting ready to rope. So the steer comes past you, and he's coming through the lane, and he's at a run. And so if you're backed in the box and they say he's here,
Mhm.
if the steer's running hard, you've got all the cowboys lined up, and there's like, go
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
And if the steer's loping, they're like, whoa.
easy.
Yeah, easy. So, but the barrier is 60 feet in front of it's actually a 60-foot box,
I see.
right? So you have to gauge your speed with the steer,
Wow.
and then when he gets to the bottom of the hill, it's actually a hill.
It's dirt.
It's dirt, and then when he gets to the bottom of the hill, it turns to grass.
Yeah.
You are smoking when you get to the bottom.
So tell me this: is it the same person pushing each steer?
Yeah,
Same guy on the
There-
horseback?
there's a whole guy on the horseback back there, and it's real coordinated how they have people talking back there on my walkie talkies and stuff, and like they're sitting there waiting for the header or bulldog or whoever's in the box
Yeah.
to call, and they have different ones in each event, for the calf roping and bulldog and all that stuff.
So what about the guy that tells you halfway here? Is that the same person every time too? Is that just one of your buddies?
A lot of times, so like some of your buddies will be like they'll be halfway here, but they'll say, "Hey, he's running." Like, "Hey,
Well, he's going, yeah.
Like there's you got some kind of like comp spotters if you want to, but just your buddies letting you know, "Hey." He's like they'll tell you easy.
I'd be
But
like,
like the healer, like I like to just kind of when the header nods his head and they say halfway, I'll just start walking my horse down the lane right there. So when the steer actually going down the lane, he'll look at me and be like, "Okay, I'm not going to go to the right. I'm just going to kind of ease
Yeah.
up there to the."
Just kind of get out there, get in his eye a little bit.
Yeah.
Me and Brandon, I'd be like, go. I'm just kidding. Go. I'm just kidding. Go. Wait.
Wait, stop. Never mind. Just wait.
One of the funniest runs, I talked about it too in a previous podcast, but Tanner's probably seen some similar wrecks. But the funniest wreck, it's not really that funny. Everybody's okay, so it was funny to me, but like it was the damnedest wreck that I ever seen at Pendleton. Well, the healer was way late, and the steer went hard when he didn't see nobody. He hauled ass to the right, so the header was chasing this thing down. And he ropes this thing, and he slows it way.
So is it wide open to the right?
Oh my gosh, it's the biggest arena you've ever roped in. You're like, it's huge. It's a football field.
Yeah,
it is huge.
It's a racetrack around
Yeah.
it.
It's just wide open to the right. So if you
Just
don't
in
get
the
out there,
infield.
it's,
Well, there's a little, about a 3 foot tall
Plastic.
fence. So I mean, I've seen guys, their horses have to jump the fence to face, and
Yeah.
It's a track, right? And then like so the track is elevated just a little bit on dirt, and then you get to the bottom of it. It's a football field where they play football in Pendleton. The high school does there. And so the steer eases off to the right, kind of hauls ass off the right. The header ropes the steer, slows him down almost too much. Well, the steer hits in the corner and falls down. The healer is late and was coming in hot. Well, he pulls his horse up and slides that horse kind of into the stop. Well, the horse falls down. Well, the steer's down, the heel horse is down. The header goes to kind of face his horse up, kind of rolls his head horse over on top of himself. Well, the head horse slides. They're in that good lush grass over there on the right side of the track, on the right side of the field. And so he's right there in the face, slips and falls down.
All
Every
three.
team.
All three.
All three animals down.
Everybody's down. That is the only place that you could see something like that. Like, it is wild over there. It's
I'm
wild.
going to actually go back this year, I think.
It's
I haven't been there in 20 years.
That's awesome.
I'm an old fart, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but
it's on my bucket
The
list. I
thing is,
definitely
if you
wanna go.
draw good cattle over there, you got a shot. It's like if you got it. I don't care how old. If you know you're a cowboy, you rope. You got a shot over there. It's been some funny. Eric, I think, told us a story. He was high callback over there,
Yeah.
calf rope, and if you draw good, you got a chance. Like it's a cool place.
great rodeo.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Let me-
My favorite.
Let me clarify that. I'm going to watch. I'm not, it's on my bucket list, not to go rope. So
Put your name down.
shit.
just sign on the dotted line.
You know, is that where Trevor Brazil, all those people, the photographer, he
Yeah,
saved the
yeah,
guy's
he put
life?
the rope over there,
I mean,
yeah.
that was one of the most cowboyish things I've ever seen in my life. You know,
What
it's
happened?
just, it's packed full of people taking pictures all over it. Well, he was in the Sear Open, and
Same thing. Steer jump
You
goes back
explain
to
it.
the right, real bad, and like just falls off to the right. Well, Trevor ropes it, and he goes about to the track, and all the camera crew and everything are right there. So when he ropes it, he was gonna get somebody.
'Cause
to
he's
next
tied
to go
on.
with it.
Oh yeah.
So he flipped it over to everybody, and then went with.
and
the
then
steer.
went with it. I mean,
Like he saved several people.
yes,
Save some lives.
That's
For
the
sure.
thing is like it's wild over there. Like anything can happen in Pendleton, man. Like
they let them people just on the, you know,
I've seen that.
everywhere.
Like, we've talked
Yeah.
about it before in the bull riding. They're just lining up
Yeah.
behind that little PVC pipe
Mhm.
over. Lining up. Like you put a bull riding on at a bar, you gotta have 6 fences to keep the crowd back. At Pendleton, they're just right.
Yeah.
They are the fence.
well, the contestants are the fence.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a contestant, you got a back number. You go anywhere you want in the arena there.
Right.
So a lot of the contestants are watching their buddies live right there.
Just hanging out.
And honestly,
You should tell them, Caesar, about the dangers
that is the best
of
seat.
being on the back of a bucket
I'm a
chute.
bull riding fan, and that is the best seat in the house right
Yeah.
there. Like you are scared to be out there. Like it's the talk about an adrenaline rush. You don't have to be on the bull to get that adrenaline rush right there. When that bull, they bucks the bull rider off, and that sucker comes right next to that PVC, and you can just push the PVC over and you can just put your foot on it, and the PVC fence will fall over, and you got a big 2,000-pound bull just walking and kind of looking at you. It's pretty scary.
Tell them about the teepees, the teepee setup. It's a
They shut the whole town down pretty much. It's that's why I like the rodeo. It takes you back in time a little bit.
there's like a reservation there, real close.
Yeah. Well, right there on the fairgrounds there, they put up a bunch of teepees, and they put on a bunch of I call it the powwows out here, but like they're
You can stay in them.
well, yeah. Well, like the a lot of the natives stay in them,
Mhm.
and they set celebration through like the whole week of rodeo, and it's like they party all day and night out there.
The Cowboy Channel had like a drone video, and it's just teepees just covered that place, and because they do like the race.
Yeah.
What's it? Indian race.
They got relay
The
races.
Yeah.
races.
They're wild. I mean, they got
Crazy.
They got guys just be mucked out.
Yeah.
And they just run out there with a
Yeah.
stretcher, throw them on the nuts, get them off the track.
Yeah, dude,
I mean,
crazy.
They might have broken necks.
Yeah.
Just
Show
throw
must
'em on
go
the
on,
stretcher,
yeah.
Pendleton,
pull them
man.
out. You know. But
So It sounds to me like that's probably got to be top of one of the coolest rodeos there
It's
is,
like a
right?
3-hour rodeo.
Everybody says that.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a long rodeo. It's one of the longest rodeos there is too.
Yeah, everybody I talk to said that's their favorite rodeo. And there's a Pendleton room, I guess, for the contestants. And ever since I've known Cesar, he's told me about this Pendleton room. He says, "Do not wear a good cowboy hat." And they're like, "I'll ever be in that room." You know what I mean? Like, he's like, "Do not wear a good cowboy hat. You wear a straw hat because them steer bulldoggers are gonna knock your."
Steer wrestlers and the steer trippers, they're pretty.
He said, "You better be friends with those guys." Like,
Big guys.
yeah,
It's a letterbuck room.
yeah, let her buck room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they do letterbuck.
I bet.
Yes, during the performances, man, it gets wild in there. Like the slacks are pretty fun times. I kind of go through the slacks and hang out over there, but man, during the performances, it gets real wild.
How many years did you win it?
I won
Twice.
it twice.
That's
yeah,
cool.
We gave
With
one it
Colton?
twice.
Oh, but
We gave both
yeah.
times. It was pretty cool rodeo, man.
Were you saying you won Reno?
Yes, I did. I did win Reno, and I'm trying to think. Shit, it's been a long time ago. 2006, I think. Yeah, no. Maybe it was 2006.
you got the Spurs, huh?
I got the Spurs.
That's awesome.
Byron Wilkerson.
Okay.
Won Reno.
Yeah,
Byron was a great hand.
yeah, yeah. Shout out.
So how's the arena? Reno, is it similar to most other arenas? I only ask that question because you guys sit here and talk about Pendleton, and you tell us all these things about Pendleton, and that's something else that the casual guy watching the NFR doesn't take into account, right? You guys just don't get to go rope in a 150 by 250 pin every day.
Different
Like, right?
setup,
So when-
scores.
I use this guy way too much, and I got to pick another guy. But Tom Brady goes play football. He plays on a 100-yard football
Mhm.
field.
Same day.
Football
Yep.
field, same thing every day. And listening to you guys, I mean, every arena is just going to be different cattle.
Every
different
day
arena,
it's something
Yeah,
different.
Tanner Baldwin was in here telling me, and I still got to get that guy in front of a calculator because what he's doing is not working. $320,000 worth of steers to put on a World Series. I don't understand that, but that adds something to it, right? So I mean, what do? You kind of call your buddies and say, "Hey, man, is it raining at Pendleton? What should I
You
do?"
do not want it raining at Pendleton.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's
Like-
not a good place for it to rain.
But that's a shitty deal, right? Because every place you go, I mean, these arenas ain't covered. They're not, I mean, it's up and down, and when you were probably rodeoing hard, it was even a lot more different then, right?
Well, when I first started rodeoing was kind of in the mid '90s, and so back in those days, they had the scores were stuck out a little further, and so there was a kind of a different style of rope. And you had Charles Pogue that was real dominant. He had a great horse, best horse maybe ever. Called him Scooter, and so a guy had to score, really ride his horse. A horse was a true advantage back then. And then there was a period of time where they started shortening the scores up, and you might be at a big arena and they would have short scores. So what came to play was, the Speedy Williams game. Like he could get it on him so fast, and guys didn't even like. There was several years at the NFR, the rest of the field didn't even. They were like, what is Speedy doing? I mean, he's got it on these steers in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And so there was a bit of an era there where they had the scores all shortened back up, right? And so a lot of guys did better in those conditions. But then now I see the scores are starting to lengthen out a little bit. It's some of the big arenas, so they're fitting the score more to the arena. So I think that comes into play. And there's guys that have different skill sets. So you can take a guy to Pendleton that's a cowboy, like can ride a horse, can judge a steer, can see the steer turning left, and you're going Mach 9 coming off the hill. And so there's different skill sets that work better at different arenas. Reno's kind of it's more of a traditional type rodeo. It's more just mainstream. And
It's weird how they have the boxes set up there, right?
A little bit,
Like
yeah.
it's funny how you hit the left wall if you're a team roper. You hit
Right.
the left wall, the way they got the rope and shoots angled. It's like it's just fun. Like I said, all rope arenas you go.
Yeah, and then you
know,
go with there's one up here up north with Prescott. You both come out. I mean, we talked
Yeah.
about it with Eric. You come
Salinas,
up
that's another one. Salinas, both guys come out of the head and side. So you see guys that really can kind of adapt and do better at certain setups than other guys.
What setup fit you the best? What was your favorite kind of setup? A long score or a short score? What did you enjoy?
I probably did a lot better on the longer scores.
Riding your horse.
The horse
Yeah.
came into play and that sort of
The
deal.
B cross horses, Tanner had a good head horses. So like them, anytime the horse,
Yeah.
got to shine, he won a lot of money.
That kind of separates, them longer scores. Like if they ain't got a good horse, I mean that separates them real quick. When a shorter score, they kind of maybe get by them. Then
Yeah,
these
these
are
guys
horses
that can
and
throw
much.
30 feet can
Yeah.
get by on them shorter scores a little quicker.
Is that what was your favorite?
My favorite rodeos were the cowboy type rodeos. Like I always liked the NFR, of course, but like, man, I love Pendleton, Cheyenne, and
Well, you were
Saline
always
and
packing the
Prescott.
Cowboys down the road with you, Coulter, Derek, like,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
way, like if there was
I
one
had
out.
the best chance.
Yeah,
Those
sure.
guys- Those guys were cow catchers. I was going to get one turned at those places
Right.
for
And
sure.
handled off too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the best.
Those guys are definitely cowboys, but those guys, they can also rope on the short score
Yeah.
setups and
Yeah.
but you see guys, back kind of when I started roading, you see a lot of guys at the short scores. They do really good through the winter in Texas. They have a lot of money won. And then you go out to California, and you go to Red Bluff, and you go to Clovis, and they have a left wall, and they have the steers scored out, and the steers run hard. They're big and fat and healthy cattle in California, come right off the grass. And so you didn't see those guys do as well because they showed up on a horse that wasn't really prepared for that. And so then you'd see other guys win. The rodeo season's pretty interesting because you get the whole gamut, right? You go to those building rodeos in Texas and it's a fast setup.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you go to California, it's entirely different. And then in the summer it's varied, but you go to the Northwest, they got big arenas and it's interesting because sometimes guys will they may not win much in the winter, and you see guys that are super talented and they get discouraged and they go home, right? They don't realize it's a full rodeo season.
Yeah.
Quarters, it
Yeah.
breaks down.
And we talk about it all the time. Omaha has bailed this guy out more than once. That's the last
Fourth quarter.
rodeo, the fourth quarter with 0.2 seconds left on the clock. He had the 3-pointer at the buzzer, to make it, and you got to stay hooked.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to win your money, right?
Yeah.
You don't know. You can't plan it. You can't say, hey, I'm going to. But at the end of the season, you've got to put a full season in,
Yeah.
right? Because things change. And I've had guys that come in at the end of the season and they're $15,000 out of 15th place and they rally
Yeah.
in the fall
Yeah.
and they kill them and all of a sudden they're making the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Along that rodeo road, besides the NFR, what was the funnest rodeo to party at? Like this, like the hospitality tent and
From
everybody.
what I saw, the Pendleton right there. I don't know.
Pendleton's badass, but I got to
So
tell you,
pretty much Pendleton
Yeah.
was the shit.
I got to put this out there. Back in the day, they used to have the Houston rodeo at the Astrodome. We would go down there for a month. The rodeo lasted a month.
Wow.
And
That's
you would rope
cool.
one steer a week for 4 weeks.
Wow.
And when you got to the Houston Astrodome, you had your back number, right? That back number got you access to every place in that building, including
Dream living.
including the suites upstairs, and so we'd go to Houston. We'd go to some rodeos around there and stuff, but our rig was parked in Houston, right, for 30 days. And so you would go to the rodeo every day. You'd rope. You wouldn't rope every day, but you'd rope one steer a week. But you were there for a week, and they had a little bar downstairs called the Shoot Club. The only guys that were allowed down there were contestants or girls.
Fans of contestants.
Girls.
So it was like an auction.
Yeah.
You go in with your back number, and these gals would be, they wanted a cowboy, right?
Yeah.
It was just, so that doesn't have anything to do with the rodeo, but if you talk about fun,
Morale, I think it has something to do with it. Kept the morale up.
Cesar always says that's his hospitality. That was one of your favorite ones. They took care of you guys,
Yeah,
treated
the
you guys like
Houston
rock
does
stars.
the best as far as hospitality, and they give
Signing
they take-
autographs.
Still to this day, they take care of you. Like they'll give you $100 bill every day, to go sign autographs for 20 minutes. Like
What rodeo was
fees and they
Haley
give you money.
Kinsel mad at this year? She was mad at
It was San Antonio.
San
man. They
Antonio.
don't. The rodeo's great, but it's not the friendliest place to get in and out of.
they're tough.
You're on concrete. Yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
They make you put a sticker on your windshield, and if you don't have it, they won't even let you in. And it's
Or they'll tow you out. Like if you're if your sticker's not on your truck, like you have to take the sticker and put it on your, and you have it there for however long a sticker, like it doesn't come off, man. Like it's. I had one where I put it. It was a sticker, so I put it in the dash, like up on top right there where you can see it still, and I put like something where it was. He said the security guard said no, you need to put that out and stick it on the window there. I'm like,
He's pretty serious security
yeah,
top
yeah.
flight.
I don't want it all year long. So you're gonna use it as long as you're here. You're gonna have it on your truck, or else it's getting towed. I'm like,
So what do you guys think is going to happen to like say something like that, right? We talk all the time that you guys are the athletes, right? So without you guys roping them steers down in 4.5, 5 seconds, or the guys going 90 on these bulls, ain't nobody in the crowd. Isn't nobody buying Beck sunglasses and and ropes and all of this stuff. So do you think that will ever change where you guys become the talent, I guess,
Well, I want to comment on that. Like when I started rodeoing, I was traveling a little bit, like D Pickett back in the day, right? He was world champ, all around world champ. And I was, everybody's bitching about this and that about rodeo. He said, I got news for you. He goes, you're going to retire in about 15 years. You're going to be bitching about the same stuff we've been bitching about.
Yeah.
And it doesn't change. The PRCA has made a lot of strides and stuff, but really and truly, we're still, the Cowboys not treated as good as maybe they should be. Now, I can't, there's a lot of rodeos that do a lot of this hospitality, and they're good to you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Cowboy is not, you're not treated like a golf pro at a golf. You're like, yeah, we're going to put you in the lot in the back.
Yeah.
No stalls.
Yeah.
And you just don't, they just don't have, they need actually, in my opinion, they need to have somebody that addresses that and goes in and trains these committees to like, this is what the Cowboys need.
Yeah.
Now, there's a few rodeos that do that. But at the end of the day, the PRCA Cowboy, the actual Cowboy is not treated like they should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree too. Larry, the guy was on here and she talked about $40,000 she spent just on diesel. And I don't know if they can make it where, the benefit of being in top 50 in the world is you get to go inside of these winter buildings and there's a benefit to being in the top 50 or, whatever, but there has to be a way that they could give you guys some kind of a bare minimum or something where if you make the top 50, you're going to get a check for 30 grand or, something where it makes an incentive for these guys, like Cesar said, 16 guy in the world's going home with all them bills, he don't get to go to the NFR and, and he didn't make any money at all. The only chance to make any money is you got to be in the top 15. And that's just discouraging, I think, for a lot of these guys. I mean, if there's a way for the top 50 to get something like a $25,000 check, to show them like, hey, we want to see you out next year and, trying, because without you guys, performing, none of these rodeos have any, no
Houston
chance.
does the very best job out of all the rodeos, even versus the NFR. Okay, you show up to Houston. Last time I was there, I showed up over there. They give you emails and all that stuff where to go. You're off site from the Coliseum, but you can still see the ghost. So you're only a few miles away, and so you show up over there and you're pulling your rig and you got to show your paperwork, health and cog and a few things like that. And they give you a whole bunch of stuff. They sell you. Here's your stall. There's a pile of shavings over there. You get as many shavings as you want. How many stalls do you want? You got 3 or 4, however many horses you got. They'll take care of you, free stalls, all that stuff. They got riding area and all that stuff right there. So then you want some food. They got food. They got drinks. And like they'll actually have like steak and like hamburger meat stuff. Like if you want us to make you a steak, they're really cool over there. And so you go to the rodeo, you get checked in over there and said, they have everything the way you need to. They get the draw, like it's really organized. And then so after you get done roping, win, lose, or draw, you go over there and you talk to a lady and she gives you either a blue little slip or a red slip, which is each side of the arena. And they need you to go sign autographs for 20 minutes and they're going to give you a $100 bill. And they got after that, you know what I mean? You get your money, and they got the best hospitality over there. Like they got different kinds of food that day. They got PB&Js, you know what I mean? They get ready to go. They got all kinds of drinks and stuff, a cake and all that stuff. They take such good care of you. And then they have a concert. Your family's allowed to go in the arena. Like like you talked about, you got access to the arena if you have your back number, you take your family.
Big
You
names.
got to see Kid Rock,
Yeah.
Beyonce. I got to see all these. And then, like I said, you go back to you got plugins, you got RV hookups, full RV hookups over there.
So you guys are looking forward to going.
Yeah.
to
Houston is the very
And-
coolest rodeo you can go to, and then
Yeah.
like they hook it up. Like I remember we had to fly in from the George Strait. It was the same time as we were up at Houston, and we flew in and they picked us up in a shuttle, and they got it taken care of. Like anything you need, like
That's
you need to
awesome.
pick up the airport.
Yeah.
You want to go play golf. You want the coolest thing is, Cowboys like to go have fun. They go to the
Little
bars
bit.
and stuff. They'll take you to the bar, and you know what I mean. They'll pick you up right there at the gate, and
That's
they'll
awesome.
take you to the bar and let us know. Call us when you guys are done, and we'll pick you up. You don't drive anywhere around here. Like you know what I mean. Like we'll chauffeur you everywhere.
And it's not like he's asking for much. He said, like, give us a plug-in to plug our trailer in
Yeah.
and food. It's like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah,
Like,
peanut butter and jelly
basic.
sandwiches.
Pretty basic.
And
You
I mean,
know?
it's $500. So like I said, you show up 3 days and you didn't win nothing, right? So like they pay your fees as well. So you don't. I mean,
That's
it's
awesome.
It's awesome. So say the third day,
So they pay. What do you mean? They pay your fees for everyone?
they pay everybody. You don't have an
Because
entry.
you got to be in the top 50,
You got to be in
right?
the top
Oh,
35.
that's
35.
Okay.
Top 35 in the world get to go to Houston from the year
Invitation.
before, you know. And so you sign autographs, say, man, we didn't catch, we did very good. So the third day you rope, everybody gets 3, and then after that you advance if you know you advance. So the third day, say I didn't advance, they will give you $300 the third day. So you get $500 total just to show up. You get everything taken care of. They
That's
give you a little
awesome.
spending
That is.
money. You know what I mean? Like there's not very many rodeos that do it like that. And if
No.
they did it like that, and big rodeos like San Antonio, Austin, all these rodeos did it like that, and try to really help and then like that rodeo pays 50 grand to win it too. So that like
Yeah.
why can't I just always wonder why can't the rodeos be more like that? I mean, it
Yeah.
would make it more mainstream, I think, and you'd see more of the poor type guys rodeo more because they could make more money, make a living doing it.
Makes sense.
And you said that the top 35 in the world get to go right the year before. So 36, 37, those guys, that's a nice fight trying to make just to get to that rodeo. So
Because
that
you know
make,
you can go to Houston.
yeah,
the
so
next
that would
year.
make the competition.
You got peanut
you
butter
know?
and jelly sandwiches.
You see guys
Yeah.
at Pendleton at the end of the year, they'll show up over there at Pendleton, the last rodeos, just to qualify,
Yeah.
try to get into Houston. That's what they talk about at Pendleton.
That's awesome.
They're not going to make the finals. They're 30th in the world, or maybe 40th in the world. Man, they're trying to crack in there to get into the winter rodeos and get into Houston.
So I got a question for these two guys, and Brandon touched on it a little bit. Like, if the PRCA did come out and say, okay, the top 50, we're going to give you this, does that pull any luster away from the NFR? Because the whole thing with rodeo and cowboy, and I mean you're making the NFR,
Mhm.
and it is a knife fight half the time. I mean it's a knockdown, drag out, 40,000, 50,000 a year in diesel, whatever you got to do to make it there. So if they start, I mean, I hate to say this, but if they start handing out trophies for the guys that aren't, in that top 15, does that take it away from the top 15?
Man, I think some of these rodeos need to cater to like say like if you're in the top 50 in the world, 50,
Mhm.
you get to come to this rodeo. Like the golfers do, the golf tournaments do it. You're some of the best guys in the world. You guys are qualified, and then they have a like say Monday qualifier. So they'll take another 2-3 guys. I think it's only a couple of guys in the golf, but say you take 10 more guys. You know what I mean? Say they'll have a Monday qualifier where they can qualify in every event. You know, give the circuit guys, or not really circuit guys. Some of the circuit guys should be able to get into their circuit rodeos, but give a younger guy opportunity, the permit guys and all these guys opportunity to qualify and get into that rodeo. I think you'd see it more mainstream, or even top 80 in the world, top 100 in the world. Like make it where it's something, because you'll see some guys that they buy their card just to go to their local rodeo, and next thing they get drawn up perfect. They get the nuts at the rodeo where
Yeah.
everybody wants to get up the same spot, but these guys haven't been anywhere all year long. They're not going anywhere, and all of a sudden get the perfect draw at the rodeo. You're like, gosh,
Yeah.
what the hell? But it's. I think they should start catering just a little bit more for these guys that are really going up and down the road. Even entering, I think there should be more of a priority to the guys that are rodeoing
Yeah.
full time.
Well, if you look at the lowest golf pro that's on the PGA, he's probably making $1 million a year.
Yeah, what was
Yeah.
that guy this last weekend? He made 250,000 at this last tournament. He was tied for 14th.
Yeah, so and it's a little tough. Rodeo's it's a tough market because you got the animal rights activists. You got a lot of sponsors that don't want to really
Yeah.
put their name out there on rodeo because they're worried about the animal
Yeah.
stuff, and you got all this woke corporate BS now. But to be honest, the only thing that's really subsidized these cowboys, and this has been going on for decades, is they get personal relationships and sponsorships from different individuals. You know, so they're you know, everybody's, maybe not everybody, but I'm saying the top guys might have a guy that, hey, I'll pay your fuel this year, and but without that, I'm telling you what, this rodeo game's tough. I mean,
Do you think my idea of if the guys made the top 50 and gave them a $25,000 check to make top 50, would that hurt the game, or do you think that would make them more
an incentive?
You know, and that would
incentive.
it would bring the spirits up, you know, and them wanting to make the top 50.
Because
you know
I mean, a lot of guys can't. I mean, going down the road, just some guys can't make enough rodeos to be able to compete with the guys who can get in the top 15, right?
Correct.
well, I'm trying to think back when it was. It was like, I don't know, 2003. I think I missed making the finals by just a sliver, like $600.
Damn it.
And I was headed home from Texas, and I had $15,000 in credit cards. And I'm like, I'm headed home. I had a friend of mine that drove me home, and I had to use his credit card to get back to Cornville, Arizona, and here I am 16th in the world, and I mean, I'm in debt.
Don't mean nothing at that point.
At that point, I'm like, I just thought, man, and it's been that way for decades.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And these guys going down the road they're under a lot of stress, and you got tires and blowouts and
for sure.
transmissions
Rigs,
and
horses, trailers.
and there's not that they just don't make the money they should, in my opinion.
To be honest with you too, like Tanner's talking about, everybody, them guys are broke, but I've been a guy that's just broke leaving the NFR. And you're leaving 13th, 14th, 15th. You're the bottom three guys at the finals there. You are leaving broke.
They give you $2,500 check, right?
Well,
Is it
when I first
increased?
started, it was 10.
Okay.
But then they would take it back if you won more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so if they give him 10 and he wins 12 over the week, he's only bringing 2
They're
home.
only gonna
Is that
send you a check for
crazy?
2.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, and you got, if you look at the revenue that those rodeos bring into the city of Vegas, it's astounding. But it's not trickling down to the Cowboys. Now it's better. It's better than it
It's
was.
better. It's getting better, but it's like, I mean, the guy that they got UFC fights during the rodeo, then NFR, and the loser got paid several million for just getting his butt kicked over there, which part of it they put on a show.
Yeah.
And I think there's 118 contestants at the finals, and all of them put on a show, even if they don't win every night. It's
Well, and something that's shameful, that I think shameful, is you've got the NFR that's 10 miles down the road from where they have the USTRC finals. You got a guy that's an amateur. He wins 175,000 in one day.
Yep.
Yeah, what Jason went over.
Yeah, Jason won 352,000 that one in 2016 or 17, and he won more money in that one day than half them guys going down the road all year.
The best in the world, 10 miles down the road. That the crowd, that
Yeah.
everybody's in Vegas to see them, and you got guys going home.
Yeah.
Like you say, they may have made $5,000 at the NFR.
Yeah.
It's actually shameful.
Maybe
in my
that
opinion.
proves your point about the top 50, because maybe the guys down the road are the top 15 best in the world, but the guys down there at the other finals are the from 15 to 50s best. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Like those guys down the road are just as good. I mean, we watch the PRCA and it drives me nuts how it works. But like we'd put on a bull ride in the middle. I got a little bar out there in the middle of the desert and in Arlington. So there's our bar, a post office, and a bunch of farms. That's all there is. We put on a bull riding at the same time as they were putting on the PRCA rodeo at Buckeye. I think I had 2,300 people in the stands, and they had like maybe 25.
Yeah.
Right. But what we did is we did 100% payback for the Cowboys, turned it into a rock concert like the PBR did, and we made our money on selling the beer and the steaks. So, if the PRCA can do that, like how Houston's doing it, and make it where you guys want to be there.
An incentive for it.
Yeah, they can really make it where it makes money. Yeah.
The secretary that's helping you out over there.
Right.
People, they have a lot of volunteers too over there, and they're like, they love rodeo. They love everything about it. They get to hang out with the contestants. They get to drink beer, and they get to go hang out with the contestants every night. You know what I mean? I went and cooked Trevor Brazil a steak. Just the volunteers love that shit.
And that's what we would tell our people that we're putting that bull riding on, like the girls signing everybody up, or even the guys, lining them up where to park, because guys would draw out of back then, I think it was the Velocity series of the PBR. They draw out of the Velocity series because we're putting 10,000 added. So we're paying more at that little bar bull riding than the PBR was. And we tell them, like, look, when they get here, these guys are superstars. Like, you treat them like superstars. I don't care if you've never heard their name. I don't care. You treat them like superstars. The next time I had a bull riding, those were the first dudes to call.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are the talent. And until the PRCA or somebody gets in there that realizes you're the talent, like, I always use this analogy. When you own a bar, you don't call up a band and say, okay, I need you to come play tonight. It's going to cost you $550 to enter, and if you play really, really good, I'm going to pay you $850.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You got to play good though.
But you got to play better than the guy that did it last week.
And to Brandon's point about showing up and making them feel like they're rock stars, that's the when we talked about our idea about our match coming up or whatever. That's the kind of deal we want to do. We want the owner to be like, that's his rock star. Like that means.
Oh, yeah, no. When I bring my team,
you know what I mean?
We're coming.
Yeah,
we're probably gonna bring.
I'm gonna have smoke machines. You wait.
Coming in Escalade.
Ain't nobody seen something like we're fixing to do. We're gonna change the game.
That's what I think rodeo needs, though. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. Like, I watch golf quite a bit. I'm a fan of golf, but the way they set up the tournaments and like all that stuff, I don't know why rodeo can just follow just a little bit of what they do. You know, I mean, the sponsors. Because one of the things that bothered me when back in the day, I asked, why can't Cinch and Ariat sponsor the NFR, like clothing lines and stuff? Wrangler has a contract for it, and they won't let anybody else in.
Yeah.
What, like, I look
Bid it every year.
I look on the golf channel, I watch the commercials. You watch Titleist commercial, and then next thing you know, they're going to have a Callaway commercial. And then they're going to have a Top Flight commercial. You know what I mean? That all the golf balls are putting money up to get a commercial.
I'll tell you why,
money to the
because
pot.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean. I was like, you guys are not letting
handcuffing
more
yourself.
sponsors in. It's just holding it's bad for the contestants, I think.
Yeah, why don't they just put that up for bid every year? I mean, and say, okay, this is you want the arena. This is where the bid starts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You
They're
know
not
why?
going to go to bat.
You know why? It's a good old boys club.
Yeah.
100%. No, you're 100% right.
We're right down the road from Phoenix International Raceway. You know how many different names this race has been called? You know what I mean? It's been the Phoenix, check the AutoZone
Waste
6.
Management had it one year.
Yes.
Checker.
Like you said, bid it out to the highest bidder, and it just benefits everybody else, everybody.
The other thing they count on too is guys like Cesar. He's won that good check, and all of a sudden that's his career, right? It's they're gambling on the fact that he's gonna go and compete and do what he does regardless of the money.
Yeah.
And so they're gambling on that fact.
They're taking advantage of the love of the game.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. 100%.
Yeah, because how many of those football players still go out there if
Yeah, they're not.
if they go to pull and check?
Yeah, no.
When you and Bry and you're Bry's rookie year, and you all kids were together, it was a pipe dream, right? You all were just dreaming about it, man. Like, Clay would show up, you know what I mean? That was the man, we want to be like that guy. Like, you know what I mean? He'd show up, and then it was a pipe dream for you guys, right? There's so many kids that go to these clinics, man, and they want to make the finals. And I want to be like, man, pick up a golf club. Go to the live golf. Try to be good to go to the live golf community over there.
I'm going to ask you a serious question. If you'd have put the effort into golf that you put into roping, would you not be a pro?
I'm a half-ass golfer, man, and I can pipe it down the fairway 300 yards, dude. I just don't putt very good. It's like roping, you got it takes. But I rope like you did. I woke up in the morning and I had a rope, and I was roping or thinking about it. I'd go to school. I'd be drawing pictures of roping while they're doing math up on the board. I didn't think about anything else but roping, man.
But it was never about the money.
It's never about the money.
No.
It was about being Clay.
I thought when I showed up over there, I go to Tucson. I live right up right 5 miles from Tucson fairgrounds there. And it's ghetto, but I'd show up over there, little bitty kid, see all them rigs, and I'll talk about you guys over there at the two-back and stuff. Man, these guys like rock stars. I didn't think about that. Michael Jordan was big about that time, I thought you guys were, the ropers were just as cool as Michael Jordan, man. It's like, but there's kids now, they're watching this stuff, and like, the future of the game. We're gonna have little Michael Camelot coming in. It's like I want him to have be able to make a better living.
Yeah.
Because the way I did it, I don't think you can do it anymore, man. I showed up at the first NFR and I had a Capri camper and I had a 2-horse trailer, and I backed up next to a big old boomer and the Freightliner and all that stuff, and that was my rig. That's what got me the NFR, and I unloaded a horse that was just phenomenal, little Johnny Ringo, little bay horse. That he was as good as they got.
Still as good as they
Still as they get, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I had all my money invested in the horses, not the rig,
Mhm.
and it's like, and I did whatever it took to get to the rodeo, because I know if I get to the rodeo, I could win on the horse that I had and the partner I had. And nowadays, man, you gotta have some kind of backer to get you up and down the road.
Yeah.
I was just going, just if I win enough money to get to the next rodeo. That was all it was all about. I didn't care about getting rich. Just like I wanted to live that lifestyle, man.
So I'm going to ask you this again, obviously, when little Mike's sitting here, but like if you could give a guy like that, and we keep using little Mike, but like Denton Dunning, you've seen that kid rope, man,
Stud.
he's stud. You know, I mean, if you could give those kids some advice, and besides pick up a golf club and doing what kind of advice would you give them? I mean, try to learn a little bit of the business side of it.
Yeah,
try to go after some.
need to learn the social media is such a good thing. It's a bad thing and a good thing in a way, but to get the sponsors.
And-
I bring up Dale Brisby because, man, a few years ago when I first met that guy, he was so funny, man. He's like he was a comedian is what he is. He's so funny, real witty, and he built an empire with what he did. And he just,
Yeah, I mean,
for people that don't know, you know,
love him or hate him, that you have
he
to
really was a
respect him.
saddlebrock rider. You know what I mean?
Saddlebrock
Like,
rider,
and his name ain't even Dale Brisby.
I
His name is
think-
Clinton, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
Clinton, yeah. So, anyways, but it's like that. He changed his whole name, changed his whole persona, and made it funny. And he made such a good living on social media. And I think the guys now, like the Denton Dunnings and stuff, the videos even just practicing. You know what I mean? Get a video practicing, hanging out, brushing horse, little stuff like that. Post it.
Yeah.
Put it on
Shout out
social
to your
media, shout out to
sponsors and stuff.
whoever Fastback
Mhm.
Ropes or whoever your sponsor is at the time, they love that stuff. And then if there's a spot where you're able to make the finals and stuff, then sponsors start giving you more money.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And that's-
because it's one thing to go get them; it's another thing to keep them.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, I've sponsored guys over the times and things, and what I want to see is, I mean, I don't want to see every time you're doing anything my name to be in there, but it needs to be in there. I mean, because that's our hard-earned money too. Just like your money, you're going down the road. We just don't have piles of money and we can throw it out the window to burn.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're trying to get something for our business out of that sponsorship.
Exactly.
So I think that is important that you guys need to be the one to teach them that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, hey, this is what we need to do and things like that. You know, I mean, I'm sure
I think-
what ropes do you use?
I use Fastback. I've been
Fastback.
yeah,
Fastback.
Oh, Fastback.
Fastback. They've been solid behind me for years. And actually, I probably shouldn't say this, but I keep thinking, why are they still sponsoring me? You know, I mean, I'm 50 years old and just going a little bit circuit rodeoing, but they've been solid, man.
That's awesome.
I mean, they've been great, and
Mhm.
and my kids are using Fastback, and we post videos and stuff. I like to see guys that like Cesar has done well. Like he had a great career,
Mhm.
and he's backed off, and now he's doing clinics, and he's created a good living for himself. But at the end of the day, it's sad when you see some of these guys that have had great careers,
Yeah.
great, phenomenal talent careers, and they maybe stay a little too long, and they rodeo a little too long, and they give it all back.
Yeah.
The guys that have been smart, I look at like a guy like Walt Woodard.
Mhm.
He was really smart early on. He won a world championship, and then he did clinics for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Never even rodeoed
Raised his
again.
boy Trav.
And yeah,
Then
they're
came back and won another one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. But they understand the fact that the money you win at rodeo is not significant,
Mm-hmm.
but the impact you have can be.
Yeah.
And you can capitalize on that.
For sure.
That's what I'm learning. I love taking my boys to junior rodeos. That's such a cool thing, and help them pursue they like roping. They like doing that stuff. It keeps them out of a lot of trouble, as you know, right? The horses and taking them here and there. Like
What did your boy qualify for? And I think this is so cool.
he qualified in the team roping or in the shooting. Which
Yeah.
You get to go to Georgia?
got to go to Perry, Georgia.
Nice.
Nice.
When is it, in July?
Yeah, June.
Oh,
Well,
June.
that'll be nice and
It's,
cool.
it's nice and cool back there.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And then like I'm a little bit worried about it, man. To be honest with you, I've never been to Georgia rodeo, and I've been kind of all over the United States. You know what I mean, rodeo and stuff. Never been to Georgia one time.
That's
That's how
awesome.
much you love your children.
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
Georgia.
I'm gonna go from Montana. I'm gonna drive 30 hours over there,
Jeez,
and then I'm gonna drive 30 hours back. I've never been 60 hours round trip to a rodeo ever.
I bet if you're gonna do it for anybody, do
Yeah.
it for them, right?
That's
damn
right.
The wolf pack coming to Georgia. Alrighty, well, I mean, you guys got any more questions for old Tanner over here?
Yeah, Tanner, let's talk about you're thinking about starting a podcast yourself.
Yeah.
I was wanting to
Yeah,
talk
let's
to you a
chat
little bit
about
about that.
Well, I've had a few guys, friends of mine and stuff, we'll sit around, we'll drink beer and tell stories and stuff, and they love them,
Mhm.
because, so I've had a bunch of guys hit me up, hey, you need to do a podcast. And I didn't really think about it much, but there's a lot of,
It's pretty fun.
it's great, man. There's a lot of great stories out there that need to be told. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of great characters that
Mhm.
have
A lot of-
amazing stories. And I think it's a way for the public to really understand this world that we live in, the rodeo and the horse industry and all that stuff. And I think it would be a good idea.
Podcasts, it's just another something different, not listening to, music or whatever, especially in the rodeo industry. You guys are on long 30-hour drives, I mean,
Yeah.
a podcast is something where you can laugh and learn something at the same time. It's not just the same old song, and
It's
I mean,
the same
it's
thing
something
for you, right? Like
something
we
different.
go to these rodeos, we're sitting in the rig, we're bullshitting, we're kind of hanging out, and then we get to the rodeo, we get another group of buddies, and we kind of hang out. We're telling stories, and we're trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah.
It's
That's why I love the
storytelling.
podcast.
Yeah,
That's what it
it
is.
is.
I love the podcast, and like not a whole lot of people, like especially city people, they don't know the circle and how the rodeo world works and stuff, and how tight knit community you talked about, and how there's some very funny people. There's so many funny people in the rodeo
Oh,
world.
yeah.
And so, like, to get some of the stories out there, I think people love that kind of stuff. So, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
We sure
appreciate
do,
it.
buddy. Thanks for
So
being
whenever
here.
you get your podcast going, we would we'd love to
We'd love to be on that.
we'd love to come on.
I got a few guests that have talked about coming on, and I'm like, what? I'm a little nervous about it, but
You got to get a
What's the
good
name of the
editor.
podcast?
I don't know yet.
Yeah,
I was
like-
gonna call it Cowboy Council.
Cowboy
There you
Council.
go.
Oh, there you go.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it.
All right, well, we'll keep everybody updated on
Yeah, he
Tanner's
just
podcast.
Let us know.
And we'll be ready. See you guys on the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.